If your goal one day is to own a Lamborghini, I think most people focus on the wrong thing, to be honest. They focus on how much the car costs, what the monthly payment is, or how much money you need to make. These are the wrong ways to go about thinking it. Getting to a point where I could buy my Lamborghini, I realized there were certain mindset shifts that happened way before I ever bought the car. And I actually think that these are more important than the Lamborghini itself. So in this video, I'm going to give you 5 mindset shifts that helped me build wealth and eventually get to a point where I could afford a Lamborghini, and how you one day could also. The point is that the Lamborghini shouldn't really be the end goal. Building wealth should be the goal. And if you do that successfully, something like a Lamborghini can eventually become a byproduct of it, and even better things, such as having the freedom to do whatever you want and make money in your sleep and literally just live your life however you want. You could hop on a plane on a Tuesday, come back on Thursday, and you would actually still make money. So this is what this whole channel is about. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Number 1, stop trading all your time for money. The first mindset shift is realizing that there's a limit on how much money you can make if you're only getting paid for your time. And what I mean by that is things like an hourly job. Say for example, you're working by the clock, you're working about $20 an hour, $40 an hour. You're trading your time for that money. That's not exactly the way you want to pursue things. I will say that this way is a really stable, reliable way, but when it comes to getting to a point of really building wealth, you're going to have to learn how to take some leaps and take some risk and get some bumps and bruises along the way to get to the life that you really want. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a job. I've had jobs. I've worked while building other things and having guaranteed income that can actually give you the foundation to start building wealth. But there's a problem. You only have so many hours. If I make $25 an hour, I can work more hours and make more money. But eventually, I run out of hours. There's only 24 hours in a day, and that's where I started to look at things differently. Instead of me asking, how can I work another 5 years this week? I started thinking, what can I build that could continue making me money after the work is already done? And for this, one of the jobs I do is YouTube. I have another channel alongside of this one that you're watching, but YouTube is a perfect example. I can make a video once, and that video could potentially continue generating views and revenue months or even years later. I'll give you one example. One video that I've made probably about 4 years ago got up to about 4 million views, 4.3 million views till this day. And even today, that video is getting me views and still getting me paid. The way that it can is having your videos out there in such a way where people are still going to be continue watching it for years and years to come. If you can master that, then videos will pay you passively in your sleep. Now, the same thing is with a business, same thing with investments. The mind shift is going from how do I get paid per hour to what can I build with this hour that can continue to pay me over and over and over again. Number 2 is building multiple sources of income. So number 2 is something that has become even more important to me recently. Don't ever rely entirely on one source of income. When you're dependent on just one paycheck, one employer basically controls your whole financial situation, and that's just not a life you want to be living in, because then you're at a disadvantage because anybody could just pull the rug and then you're going to have to start from scratch all over again. If that income disappears, you literally go from 100% to 0 within a 5-minute conversation. But if you've built multiple sources of income and one disappears, it still hurts. You're not starting over. And I think that there's an important thing to mention there. You don't need to wake up tomorrow and start 7 different businesses. Start with just literally one additional source on top of whatever you're already doing. So say, for example, you're working a 9 to 5. Between your 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., 10 p.m. work window or window that you supposedly have free time, use that time to build something that can make money in your sleep. And you're probably going to be completely clueless as to what exactly you could build. But what you need to realize is that you have all these different resources out there, like the video that you're watching right now, of people like me telling you what exactly you could do. There's hundreds and hundreds of videos like this out there that you could also use. But it could be anything. It could be YouTube. It could be a small business, something you like to do, something you can do repetitively for years and years to come. Don't just think that you're going to be doing it for a year. Making passive income and making a strong amount of it has to be something that you can see yourself doing 5 to 10 years down the road if you really wanted to get to a point where you can get your Lambo. Maybe it's freelance work. Maybe eventually it's going to be investments. Investments are also a great tool to use, but you initially have to have the large sum of money up front before the investments can start to take off. So a example of this is, say for example, you get to a point where you have a large sum of income. That can be your Lamborghini, but build one, get it working, and then start building another one. And over time, you can get to a point where no single income source determines your entire life. And to me, that's a much bigger flex than the Lamborghini itself. There's no point in really having a Lamborghini if you have to work 7 days and not have a chance to drive it and enjoy it. At that point, you're kind of just showing off the car. There's nothing really beneficial about it, so no real point for it. Number 3 is going to be to invest before you upgrade your lifestyle. Don't increase your lifestyle every single time your income increases. Let's just say, for example, you're making an extra $1,000 a month. It's extremely easy to immediately find a way to spend that extra $1,000. You can go into a BMW dealership after you get your promotion, and then you buy a BMW, and then you're paying another $1,000 a month, and then again, you're back to square zero. That's not exactly the way to do it, and that's not what I did at all. In the past, when I've got my promotions or got another 2 or 3 streams of income, what I did was I actually downgraded my car from a BMW to a Honda Civic. And then even though I was making $150,000, $200,000 a year, I would still be in my Honda Civic and putting that extra money into investments that eventually grew. And then I got my Lamborghini. But making a extra amount of money, whether it's through promotion or getting to another job, people tend to want to upgrade to a better apartment, a better car, more expensive restaurants, and more subscriptions like Netflix Plus or whatever. Suddenly you're making significantly more money, but you're not actually building significantly more wealth. So one of the mindset shifts I made was trying to make sure that the money was going towards investments and assets before constantly upgrading my lifestyle. I'll give you one example of this as well. So say for example, you have your money, you get to a point where your savings has $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. Eventually anybody could get to that point if you have the discipline. But once you get to that $25,000 mark or whatever it is, you don't just take that $25,000 and then you go spend it. You want to keep your spending the same as it was before you started making that extra money. Learn how to do investments, put it into investments. I have a whole pathway or a blueprint that's located right down below, or I'll put up a QR code here too. I literally teach you how I did my investments, how I do my income, which apps I use to track my finances, and how I got my Lamborghini. So if you want to check that out, I put it out here. I get the question all the time, hence why I put this here. But because income and wealth are two completely different things, someone can make a lot of money and spend it all. Another person can make less money, but consistently buy assets and eventually become wealthier. So before you start thinking about something like a Lamborghini, I'd personally be thinking, what do I actually own? How much do I have invested? What happens if my income drops? Because all these things are going to be things you have to consider. Nothing will last forever. Another question is my money growing when I'm not working? The Lamborghini comes after you master all these things, not before it. You can't just save your way to a Lamborghini. You can't just save $20,000 to $30,000 a year for 10, 15 years and then get to a Lambo. It doesn't really work that way, because you are naturally going to have expenses that go up, whether it's through inflation or eventually having kids. So you have to learn how to multiply your money, and thus through investments, and learning how to build systems that make money in your sleep. Number 4, stay cheap on things that you don't care about. Now, everyone can see here that I have my own Lamborghini. I bought it at the age of 35. I'm basically retired, but the part that people don't see is if you look at my left hand, I have an Apple Watch that I paid off years and years ago. I don't carry Rolexes, nor do I go eat out every single day. I buy my own groceries from freaking Trader Joe's for like 20 to 30 bucks a week. I live in a modest apartment for right now, as I'm still without kids. That will be upgrading shortly. I drive a Honda Civic on a day-to-day basis that is also paid off. And usually what I'm doing on the weekends is I'm still DJing weddings here and there to make even more money. And again, this is a type of income that is trading in time for money, but I will say that I'm still doing it because you get other leverage points, such as making more connections, getting out into the world, and it is a really good trade for my time versus money. Probably 2 to 3 times more than a doctor at times. Cars are something I'm passionate about, but that doesn't mean I'm going to suddenly need the most expensive version of everything. To be honest, I could have gotten a Revuelto or a V12 instead of the Huracan that I'm in right now, but At the end of the day, a Lamborghini is a Lamborghini to a lot of people. And if this vehicle that I'm in right now helps me get the message across to everyone else, then it's doing its job. I don't need every purchase I make to communicate to somebody that I make money. And I think that's a huge mindset shift. Even whenever it comes to clothing, my natural clothing that I always wear is black shirt, black sweats, and sneakers. And I have about 9 different black shirts that I rotate every single week, and probably about 4 or 5 black different sweatpants that I also rotate every single week. But figure out what you actually care about and spend money there. Don't spend money on every little thing and trying to upgrade every little thing. And don't be eager to just kind of show off to people, because that is what is actually just going to keep you at a Mercedes or a BMW. Nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to maximize things and go shoot for the moon, you have to learn to let go of that feeling. But I'm completely comfortable being cheap, or at least economical, on the things that don't matter to me. Because if every time you make more money, you upgrade your car, your house, your clothing, restaurants, vacations, everything else becomes the same, it's going to be incredibly difficult to actually build wealth. You can have one ridiculous thing without making your entire lifestyle ridiculous. For me, that ridiculous thing happened to be my Lamborghini, and even though I have the vehicle, I'm still using it for content like you're seeing right now. And the car is also going up in value. It already went up in value by about 40 grand since I've had the car for 1 year now. Number 5, last thing is going to be think in years, not in months. So I mentioned this before. This one is going to be the most important. So you have to think long term. One of the weird things about social media is that you usually meet somebody at the finish line. You see the Lamborghini, you see the business, you see the house, you see the investment account. What you don't see is that there are all the boring years before that. I spent years building different sources of income, DJing hundreds of weddings, building LamboView, making videos like you are seeing right now, investing money, and trying different things. None of that stuff happened overnight. It happened through years, and there wasn't one magical moment where everything suddenly just worked. They compounded over time. First couple of years of everything that I did, it probably generated nothing at all. But I knew that I was working on something that would eventually take off. So that's what I kind of believed in. That's why I think one of the worst things you can do is start something and immediately ask yourself, where am I going to be 6 months from now? That's not the question you ask. Obviously, you should measure your progress, but start asking, what happens if I keep doing this for 5 years at a time? That's where things get interesting. Your skills start to compound. You become the best at whatever your field is. Your audience starts to trust you more. Your investments compound because now you're putting more towards them, and then you're setting and forgetting your investments, which is the great way to do it for long term. Your relationships and your network start to go up the roof, and your businesses can compound too. You start stacking one business on top of another, and then another, and then another. And eventually, something that seemed completely unrealistic, such as getting your Lamborghini, can become something very, very realistic. So these are 5 mindset shifts that I think matter if you're trying to build wealth and eventually get into a position to afford a Lamborghini. Stop trading all your time for money. Build multiple sources of income. Start with one really big one first and then branch out. Invest before upgrading your lifestyle. Once you get your new paycheck or your new promotion, learn how to invest that difference first and build that part of the funnel up first before you start spending it. Stay cheap on things that you don't actually care about. Pick one thing and splurge on it. And most importantly, think in years, not in months. I don't think you should build your entire financial life around trying to buy a Lamborghini. You build the wealth first, you build the system first, you build the income, you build the investments, and then you build the businesses. Build your financial foundation first to where you're not destroying everything you've worked for just to own the car. And if you do it all right, eventually the Lamborghini can just come as a side effect instead of the goal. And I guarantee you that once you do get to a point where the Lamborghini comes, the rest of your life is also just going to come. It is just literally going to fall into place. You get your Lamborghini, you meet other people that have Lamborghinis, and then boom, you meet 15 to 20 different people who all have their own companies. And then now, if you build a great connection with any one of them, you can get a job literally wherever you want. If you guys want to see more videos about the financial side of Lamborghini ownership, building income, and what it actually took to get me there, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out the pathway or the blueprint right down below. It is exactly what I did to get to a Lamborghini and how you can learn some things from it as well. Thank you all for watching. I will see you all for the next one.